Hello, Mechwarriors, and welcome to the Mech Bay, where we fix your mech and fix your game. What's going on, Mechwarriors? I'm your host, Josh. I've got my co-host, Lore Master Denham, riding on my wing today.
Howdy, howdy.
And we are the Mech Bay Podcast, your number one source for all things casual to competitive Battletech. And today, we're talking about PAX, we're talking about WWE, and we're talking about Raw. And for a hot moment, I was like, is this a wrestling podcast?
Aren't they all?
I mean, technically. Every game of Battletech ends up in, might as well, a steel cage. Okay, we're already like, I'm taking the wheel and I'm just throwing it to the right.
Solaris is there for a reason, man.
Yeah, Solaris is there. Which mech would John Cena be? In the Slayer stables. Yeah, no, like
gotta be one with stealth armor.
Gotta have stealth armor.
Has to have jump jets.
Has to have jump jets or some marine, kind of styled thing.
Okay, it's gotta have UMUs. It's got underwater jump jets. It's a marine.
Oh my god, he's an Aqua Gladius, isn't he?
Yep, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. That's terrible. And we're rolling with it. But today we're talking about PAX Unplugged news because a whole bunch of news just dropped today, Mechwarriors. We have the worldwide event. That's the WWE part. And let's get real. That was a big old steel cage match. Like, there was a lot of death and violence in that one. And you ran it, Denham. I played in it. We're going to talk about what we're legally allowed to at this point. There you go. And then we're talking about Raw, not WWE Raw, but we're talking about rules as written and the common / top rules mistakes that you make and we encounter playing Battletech. But yeah, so that's a lot. We got a full episode today. And real quick, I just want to add on to last time's episode where we talked about Southern Assault. I did not thank any of the sponsors for that wonderful event. So I would like to personally thank Ironwind Metals, Catalyst Game Labs, Death Ray Designs, Cross Electric Designs, Fighting Piranha Graphics, Stratos Minis, The Army Painter, Thunderhead Studios. We've got Shadow's Edge Miniatures. We've got The Armed Painter. We've got Metalcore Collectibles. Shout out to them. Technically us, but we don't matter. We have Monument Hobbies, Listening to Paint Dry, Fortress Miniatures and Games, of course, Unicorn Company, and Renegade HPG. And even the Battletech artists who were able to give prints of their artwork and sign it, Spooky777, Eldon Calger, Ken Coleman, and Anthony Scroggins. So thanks, everyone, for making the prize table for that literally insane. Like, I cannot describe how awesome the event was just looking at the prize table that everyone got stuff for. So let's just roll into some news and talk about PAX Unplugged.
Now, I caught some of this, but I was sleeping a lot on Saturday, and PAX happened to be this weekend. I was recovering from all my worldwide event stuff because that went till I got home at about almost 3 a.m. from that.
Yeah,
that went pretty late. So start us off. What did you see from PAX that I may have missed?
I mean, first, Randall went over the Universe Special Edition book. And
is this the special edition? Is that the $250 one from the Kickstarter?
The big one, yeah.
Yeah, because there's a $50 one that a lot of people got just as part of pledges. But then there's like the Ultra one that comes with a whole bunch of other stuff. It's actually 2 books, and they were talking about different sort of a cover or a sheath or something that they were trying to work out for it.
But did you get one? Or did you get the super special edition?
I did not. At the time with the Kickstarter, it was you'd have to put the money down sight unseen, and there was a lot of vague promises. I knew I was getting the $50 version one anyway. I decided to not put the $250 down for that particular one. I will have to go back and watch all the videos to see if I regret that decision or not.
Okay.
I got one of everything else.
Yeah, no, I was like, Denham not getting all the things. I don't know if I believe that at this moment, but no, the big news was the release schedule for the new Star League packs for next year. I thought it was funny. It's the packs released at PAX.
Yeah.
One with an X, and the other with a CK. But yeah, these are the new box Lance packs, essentially. And they are all themed Star League. Like Star League, whatever. And the first one is the Star League Command Lance. And that has a Royal Orion, Royal Phoenix Hawk, an Atlas 2, and a Thunderhawk.
Atlas 2. I remember seeing an Atlas 2 with the Dark Age click models. Was that the first place an Atlas 2 came from?
I don't think so, unless they retconned it. And that's like, I'm not a big Atlas guy.
Because I have an Atlas 2 in my garage with the click text base on it. So, like, did it come out before then?
I want to say yes. I want to say it was a pre-existing, like, into the Star League Civil War, like a couple Atlases got converted to Atlas 2s, and that was it. And then they took those away.
They're big.
But
I mean, it's weird because they're both 100-tonners, but the Atlas 2 just looks bulkier.
It's definitely an aesthetic like difference. Like that is the main thing. Like the face is not like the normal skull. It's like the more like Banshee skull kind of looking thing, like zombie skull.
I mean, these are mechs. I will own them all, every single one of them.
But yeah, so we saw the pictures for these. Which one was your favorite?
I did not see all of the boxes. I saw that first one. I saw the Command Lance.
That's the only one we saw pictures for.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, the Atlas 2 is the one that drew my eye because it's huge and mean, and it looks like it's running. It doesn't look like it fits on a hex. I need to see what it looks like on a hex. But who doesn't love the Royal Orion?
I mean, I'm definitely interested in that Royal Phoenix Hawk, at least for that one.
They're all cool. I would get them all individually if they were not in a pack already.
Yes, please break this up and charge more for it. I'll still buy all four. I think the Thunderhawk is cool because that's like the Highlander is the Gauss mech at that era, but then the Thunderhawk is like, no, I'm the Gauss mech. Like I have more Gauss rifles than you.
I heard that the Royal Orion will actually be painted. I don't know if it's in that pack. Like, does that come separately, or is that the one in the pack?
I think it just comes in the pack. Like, this is going to be a semi X-Wing style pack where one of these is pre-painted and the rest are gray plastic.
On one hand, I'm like, that's really cool. That will save me a lot of time. On the other, when I get around to it, I do enjoy painting. I wonder if there is an option to get one that I don't know. I'm gonna reserve judgment on a pre-painted mech until we see some in the real world.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the picture they gave at PAX for the pre-painted Orion, and it looks fine. It's just olive drab with like a yellow outline cockpit. Like it looks as close as you could get to like mass-produced painting.
Well, I mean, the picture I saw, it was about my level of paint. Like I'm not going to say that my standard paint jobs are going to be much better than that anyway. And I do tend to paint hero mechs their traditional colors. But like I said, I'm going to have to wait and see. I would like it if there was an option to get them not painted, though. Yeah, I know some people who have lots and lots of minis and love painting them and have never actually played the game. Like the painting is their joy. So
those are the bravest ones among us.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, that's how I am for Gaslands. Jeez, I have got so many modded cars. I've played like 4 times.
You got me to buy cars and mod them up, and we've never even played. And I'm like, never again, Denham. Never again. I'll just buy BattleTech stuff. But yeah, so I mean, either way, worst case, we can pre-paint it. Like it's not the worst end of the world. If it's separate or there's like a special pack, like you can buy the pre-painted pack for like $1 more or whatever. Like they didn't go into like the details. But
yeah, and depending on how they painted it, like it may be fine to primer over it, and you'd never notice any difference from a regular plastic one.
exactly.
So in that case, I'm totally fine, 100% fine with that.
But yeah, no, like I said, Royal Orion, Royal Phoenix Hawk, Atlas 2, and Thunderhawk. Like I will say, the Phoenix Hawk almost looks like a ShadowHawk because it has the large laser.
I thought it was at first. And I'm like, I don't recognize that.
We got enough Hawks in this Lance pack, and they couldn't throw in another one. But yeah, so that's the first quarter release. So we should get that soonish, like within 4 months, which will be cool.
3 months. Yeah, 3 or 4 months.
Well, it's it's December right now. So yeah, we got December to get through. January, February, March. Yeah, that's 4. That's 4. I got counted right in my hand. You were about to say 3, weren't you?
Well, I said 3 to 4. So depending on how early they come out, there's always that chance.
Always that chance. But yeah, second quarter, they are releasing the second Star League Assault Lance, and that is not the number 2, it is both the number 2 Star League pack and Star League number 2 pack. And that comes with a direwolf. So yeah, not your granddad's Star League. Direwolf Prometheus, and that will be the painted mech in that pack.
And that is a Steiner mech, right? That's the direwolf that they gave
Hans's son, Victor.
Yeah, Victor Steiner Davian had that.
Yep. We'll have that. The Prometheus, we'll have the Emperor, we'll have an Argus, we'll have a Helios, and we'll even have a little coolant truck.
So five things in there?
Yeah.
Nice.
This one's the weird one, in my opinion. Like we all have direwolves. So like, okay, this one's painted. That's cool. Emperor. My only thought is like, hey, I'm a really big fan of the primitive Emperor, not the like curvy Emperor. Like, give me the flat surfaces Emperor.
I mean, is it bad that I'm super excited about a coolant truck?
We'll have official plastic. I want to say like trash vehicles. Like it's fully just a support vehicle. Like no one can change my mind.
Coolant trucks were so important in the early succession wars. When you've only got 10 single heat sinks, coolant trucks were important.
How do you feel about the Argus and the Helios?
Hey, more mechs, awesome. I am not.
That's all you say.
I'm not super familiar with those, but if somebody were to put it down on the table, that would excite me because I like seeing mechs that I don't know much about.
Yeah, I remember the Argus from MechWarrior 4, and that's really it. Like, it's one of those mechs that just kind of drops off after the Civil War. So, it getting plastic means we'll be getting some new stuff for it. But we'll talk about that in a second. So then we go to the third quarter, third Star League, and that's the Striker Star.
Oh yeah.
We got a plastic Lament.
Yep.
We got a Jackalope.
I am excited to see that in plastic because, man, some of those pictures for the Jackalope.
We're bringing it up now, Jackalope. I've seen it, and I just need to. Yeah. Someone. I hope someone got a bonus on like that guy because that's.
But the next one.
Oh baby. Look, they could have made an entire pack with just this, and I would have been like perfectly happy. We got plastic Kintaro. I'm
excited. I like the Kintaro. And not just because of the HBS Battletech game, because that was like the best starter mech in there.
No. I love it for its original art.
That
swiggity swooty, like that Kintaro never skipped arm day. Broad shoulders. Everyone loves it. We've got a Hammerhead 2.
What is a Hammerhead 2?
We don't know yet, but it's going to be the second variant of the Hammerhead. So it's going to be looking different than...
Okay, so this is the Hammerhead from the Ill-Clan Rec Guide?
Yeah. We're getting another variant of it.
Okay, I will happily have a second one. I love the original Hammerhead.
I love my Hammerhead with hardened armor.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and now it's in plastic, not just resin.
Yeah. So all those people that missed it, they can just buy it in a pack. I'm excited about that.
I'm so excited. I already have 2. We have the Havoc, which is another like Dark Age mech. It's like
I know the Havoc.
Yeah, it's been on my to buy list for a while. Actually, it's like light mech, 4 ER medium lasers. It's just simple, comes as it is. Like it's nice. I like it. The cool thing of that pack though is the J27s. Denham's logistical brain is trying to think, what is a J27? That's the ordnance transport. So we've
cool.
The second pack was a coolant truck.
Yep.
The third pack is the ammo truck.
Yep, got all the ammo. Yeah. I just never referred to it as the J27. It was always the truck that goes boom.
I mean, this is its technical designation. J27 ordnance truck.
So this reminds me of those the action figure packs that come with like one part of some bigger action figure. You have to buy all of them to have all your support trucks.
I mean, if that's how they want to do it, I'm okay with it. Like, it's not like I'm building the long tom over the releases. Like, this is the barrel, and this is the ammo, and this is the truck part. Like, no. This is just individual support vehicles.
And put them together like Devastator.
Oh, man. But guess what? We got one more. We got the 4th quarter release. That's also 3rd Star League. And that's the Battlestar. We got a Savage Wolf Prime. We got to
have one.
Mm-hmm. We got to win Dingo. We got an Excalibur. We got a Peacekeeper. We got a Malice.
Does anything else fit in the box when a Malice is in there?
I mean, not a whole lot, but somehow they were able to cram a Savior repair vehicle.
I'm also excited about that. I'm weirdly excited about the support vehicles. Maybe it's because I run a lot of campaigns and it's always nice to have some cool things I can use as objectives.
Yeah, like we have the objectives pack coming, but I feel like these little like Gribblies, like it's not in a Gribbly pack, so like everyone's gonna have one. It's like, oh, I want new mechs. Here's a little objective like token or whatever. Or you can use it for Alpha Strike and uses a low PV initiative sync. I'm looking at you, people. You know who. But yeah, no, the Malice is weird. Like, I wouldn't have expected that in plastic at all, really. Like, the other things, maybe. I'm very excited about a Peacekeeper because I don't even think that has a model.
Right? Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one. But like the Wendigo, sure, that's cool to have a mini 4 finally. Plastics with all the new stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's wild.
And I know a lot of people who use Savage Wolves, so they'll be excited to have plastics of those.
Is that the super expensive one, or is that the Alpha Wolf?
I think it's the Savage Wolf that's super expensive.
No, I got this. Okay, the Savage Wolf is really just a Mad Cat Mark IV. That's why my brain always flops it. And the Alpha Wolf is the new Rec Guide, really hyper expensive Clan Wolf mech.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I always get confused about this.
The Savage Wolf is the Mad Cat we have at home, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mad Cat Mark IV. And that's the cool one, which has the hardened armor variant.
But this is the Prime specifically.
So it's got 2 ER PBCs and 4 Streak 6s. That's fine. I accept this. So yeah, okay. So those are the Force packs this year.
Yep.
What are our thoughts? What are our like highs, lows in this selection?
I mean, I guess we're done with Mercenaries, but that's cool. I'm excited about all of these. Now, are these going to be like exclusive releases like the Mercenary packs were, or are they just everybody gets them?
I think these are just everyone gets them. Like there was no mention of these being exclusive or anything. So it's just
that's cool.
Yeah.
Good. I like all of these. I mean, I'm excited about seeing these on the table as normal forces we get to see.
What's your top pick out of these? Because there's a bunch of mechs in this.
Ooh, right. Wow.
Right.
I mean, aside from the Kentaro, because everyone knows I like Kentaros. If I had to choose any of them that weren't the Kentaro, you know what? I'm gonna go Savage Wolf Prime. I'm excited about seeing those.
I would also go pretty close to the Savage Wolf just because the metal model, like it needed a lot of love. Like,
It does.
It's one of those like, hey, this is a really good mech, and like I'd love to take this, but it's also like, yeah, I'm not buying you. Like, you have no aesthetic. You bring no joy to this household. But yeah, I will say I will be buying like probably 2, maybe 3 of that 3rd Star League striker pack. Like, I already have a Lament, but I don't have a Kentaro.
And I certainly don't have a Jackalope.
No. No, I do not. Also, Hammerhead too. Like,
yeah, I can't have enough Hammerheads.
I mean, it depends on what it's going to have. The first one's already great. What are we going to do? Make it better? We'll find out. On top of that, we have a bunch of rule books also coming after all those force packs, which I think is
right.
Like they're not done. Like this isn't it for the year. Like there are books, rule tabletop books coming.
Yeah, I know they're doing a lot of reprints, and a lot of them have the orange chevron to designate that they're part of the 40th anniversary reprint.
Yeah. Speaking of the 40th anniversary reprint, we are getting new anniversary box art for the beginner and a Game of Armor combat boxes.
I guess I got to buy those again.
Here I go buying the intro tech boxes again. I mean, to be fair, I actually would like a Game of Armor combat box. Like, it's a very good deal.
Yeah, the mechs in there are fantastic.
I think that was one of the things that a lot of people wanted in the Kickstarter. Like, hey, can I just buy the mechs from that again or something? And that wasn't an option. There was a
time when you could, but not for this Kickstarter. You were allowed to buy just the mechs from like everything except for that box set. You could buy just the mechs from the Clan box. You could buy just the mechs from the Alpha Strike box, but the Game of Armored Combat you could not. Shaking my head.
But they were having to save them to reprint new box art.
I guess so.
Yeah. But yeah, cool new box art. That's great. We have, for the first big rulebook release, we have the Davian Force Manual coming in Q1.
Fantastic. I wonder if they will have any new ammo types. Probably not. But it'd be fun.
It would be fun. Maybe they'll have some experimental, so the era for this will be Civil War, I think.
That's right. It's not even Ill Clan. You are correct.
Not even Ill Clan.
I think it goes up to Civil War.
Yeah.
Well, then no. Probably not.
Well, then no. I will say we will be getting Ill Clan update PDFs that will be released alongside the Force Manual. So your physical Force Manual copy is up to Civil War, and you have a PDF that gets you to Ill Clan.
I accept that. I want new ammo types in there.
I will say it's just weird. Like, I know probably doing it as a book is kind of like, the majority of the campaigns and games and people that will use this will buy it and are happy up to Civil War, and we're not going to force you to buy Ill Clan stuff, so we're going to give that to you, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is. They're going to do it the way they want to. I really like all the Ill Clan stuff. So, but I know that I'm not a majority person in that thought either. But I do. I really like it. I think it balances Clan and Innersphere nicely, and it gives me really cool toys to play on my favorite mechs. Yeah,
I just love being able to take more stuff.
Yep.
The second quarter we already knew, which was coming behind it, is the Karita Force Manual.
Yep.
And I know you'll be picking that one up, Mr. DCMS.
I'll be picking it up again, this time as a Force Manual.
Not as a combat manual.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see the differences between the combat manuals and the Force Manuals.
Yeah, I want to see if they just changed the title or if they actually added some stuff. I heard that they were adding and tweaking stuff, but we'll see how much.
And then, of course, we have Mercenaries, a.k.a. you either play Davian or you play Karita, or you play everything else, and everything else is just Mercenaries.
Yeah, and I think, again, they picked that one to be third because they already have the combat manual for it.
Yeah.
They probably would have done it and did in a different order if they didn't already have all of that material for it. So it's just giving them a little bit more breathing room.
I think my big comment on this is I'm no longer convinced these will be kind of like Battletech codexes just because the release schedule for it. Like, I don't think people are going to be like, oh, I'm using this faction in a pickup game, and you will like automatically accept them getting faction rules.
Yeah, well, I mean, because I guess the combat manuals had a lot of Alpha Strike stuff in there, so they did have some Alpha Strike special abilities. I like that they have a lot of the paint schemes for the various units of those factions. That was really really cool. I'm super curious to see what they put in there. It's got to be something nifty.
I hope so. I'm excited though.
Yep.
Yeah, we've got the Mech Commander Handbook in quarter 3, and I think you know a little bit more about that one, Denham.
I not a whole lot. I just know I am super excited about this one. Anything that is going to do any campaign operations updates and additions, I'm very excited about that.
That one's still, I want to say, a little bit more under wraps. Like, we don't know all the things that are inside of it.
Right. It's a Q3 thing, so it's going to, they might give us teasers and stuff later, but I do not know a whole lot about what's in there. Just what little bits I've heard.
Moving on, we've got Rec Guide, the technical readout, aka the second half of the Rec Guides already released. Will be getting their TRO book with just the lore bits.
Right. So this will have things like the Contio and the Hammerhead and all the ones that weren't the classic redesigns for the Ill Clan. So these are like the new designs, things like that.
That is mid 2024, so probably summerish sometime.
Yep, that would make sense. Right in time for my birthday.
Yeah. The other half of that very cool coin is Rec Guide number 33.
What?
AKA, we made new models, so we need to have new variants. So we're making new Rec Guides.
Yep, number 33 of a 32-run series.
They can't keep getting away with it, I think is the term.
Hey, they'll make them. I'll keep buying them.
Yeah, I was like, as soon as I saw they were making a plastic Kintaro, I was like, wait, there's no variants for Ill Clan. Like, y'all stopped doing stuff with it in the 70s. Like,
oh, now they won't have the Kintaro in the TRO Volume 1.
I accept that it's not an original, that it's a post-original.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah. So we'll be getting that alongside. So that'll be alongside releases. So
yeah,
that's not, they're waiting for that. Like, that's something that can come out a lot sooner. So as models and whatnot get released, they'll be releasing rec guides for it.
Yeah. I'm super excited about all the stuff coming out next year.
It's too much, man. Like, my wallet wasn't safe from the Kickstarter, and now it's not safe from.
Oh yeah, no, it's going to be bad.
Post.
Luckily, the banks don't know me well enough, and they're still going to let me open up new credit cards.
We have a whole bunch of lore novel stuff too. Like, I'm gonna hit that real fast because that's who we are. We got Hunting Season 2, Letter of the Law. We got Trial by Birthright. That is after the Battle of Terra. So we've got some post battle lore. We got a Jade Falcon novel. We've got a Tucker Harwell novel. We've got
Tucker Harwell.
I know.
I'm excited.
That one's called Voidbreaker, and I'm actually like, that's a dope book. I'm gonna read that one. We got the new Fox Patrol book coming out.
Oh man, they need to do a Tucker one about him fixing all the stuff, and the name of the book is just "You've Got Mail." That'd be awesome.
Oh, it hurts. We have a Yori Kurita. So we got our DC Mess waifu emperor doing stuff. We've got Tales of the Bounty Hunter anthology. So we'll have
good.
I love the anthology, so that'll be great. They've announced 4 Shrapnel books next year.
Good.
And we've got another Shrapnel double issue coming for December. So this month we'll get Shrapnel number 15.
I'm really happy that the Shrapnel series has just been exploding. I was a little bit worried that after the original Kickstarter, they'd put out the first 4 and then people just wouldn't be interested. But people are. It's selling well and it has good stuff in it. I'm really happy about that. I hope it goes on forever. Just ever.
I wish they were smaller and more frequent rather than bigger. Like, I wish they were like, oh, here's the weekly installment of the one story. Like, okay, I can read that on my phone, kind of thing. Like,
You don't like quarterly? You could still
I
read it on your
don't
phone.
quarterly.
I mean,
Quarterly is like, it needs to come in the mail, like as a catalog kind of thing. Like, I'm old school like that.
yeah,
It's too much. It's too much for my millennial ADD brain.
I do put it on my Kindle and just read through it at my leisure.
I can't do leisure, man. I can't do that. We got a Grey Death Legion short novel coming.
Cool.
Those guys still getting spotlight, man. I thought,
oh yeah,
they died.
The best.
Come back. It doesn't make sense. Friend of the show, Jason Hansa. We got a Skulk of Foxes, a Sea Fox novel.
Ooh,
right? I'm adding that to my terminology of anytime there are more than 2 sea foxes on the table, I'm calling it a skulk.
A skulk, cool.
A skulk, yeah. And rounding all that out, we've got a Liao novel, and that will be the Liao side of the Ilkhan Eyes Only source book.
Cool.
That'll be somewhere in the middle of 2024. Yeah, so that's a lot of books. A lot of lore.
A lot of books.
And a lot of that is Ilclan era. So like a lot of that
I thought I was catching up. No, not today.
We're throwing you back in. But yeah, no, I'm excited that a lot of that is like Ilclan, the modern stuff, and this is how we're supposed to learn about how each of the factions is doing things.
Like how it used to be in the beginning, pre-Dark Age. Yeah.
Before the Dark Age, we got a novel, and we read that, and we were like, oh god, that's what everyone's doing now.
Yeah. Did you hear about the wedding? I mean,
so yeah, that's a lot of stuff. Anything out of that you're excited about particularly?
Oh yeah, the Tucker Harwell one, the Grey Death Legion one, the Sea Fox one. I'm excited about. I'm gonna read all of them, but I'm particularly excited about those.
I'm also going to say the Tucker Harwell one because I honestly never thought they would touch that stuff again. Like,
well, me either. That's when you said it. I was. That was not a pretend shocked. You know, I am legit. Like, ooh, yeah.
Wait, what? Yeah. So that's pretty much all of our PAX news, which is a lot. Like,
yeah. I mean, there's a short 7+ hour video that you can watch from them being live at PAX.
It's too much, man. Just get a website. Start drip feed me.
Mm-hmm. Website would be good.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Yeah, we covered it in 35 minutes. What more do you want? All right, that's about it for all of our news. Finally, man. I mean, I can't wait. 2024, good year for BattleTech.
It's gonna be fantastic.
Fantastic. Let's move on to some hobby progress. Denham, have you gotten any hobby progress done lately?
Dude, I painted some mechs.
Whoa!
I did. Now everything I've done, I've been doing for worldwide event type stuff. I painted a Marauder, which actually was not for the worldwide event, but I needed to paint it, so it's painted. We got a lot of terrain done. The worldwide event looked amazing. We'll cover that in a little bit when we go over the games played. But yeah, a lot of my hobby progress went into organizing for that. I was printing out stuff. I was cutting things. I was laminating things. A lot of stuff. Now, thankfully, there were a lot of awesome players in the area who volunteered to paint some of the factions, because there's a lot of factions in the worldwide event. I mean, we've got House Hiritsu, we've got auxiliary units, then we had Jade Falcon, Wolf, Smoke Jag, and Snow Ravens. And we needed mechs painted for every one of those. Yeah, hobby progress. I'm going to count all of that in there. How about you? What'd you do?
I can't remember if I mentioned all this on the last episode, but out of those like 70 new proto mechs I got, like I actually decided to strip a whole bunch of them because like they had not great unloved paint jobs, like unloved in the sense of they were thrown in a plastic bag and like just dinged up, like paint stripped on one arm already. So it's kind of like,
yep.
All right. So I just got some acetone, gave them a little quick bath. I was not as safety conscious about my acetone handling for this one because by the end my hands were just swollen. I was like, yeah, after scrubbing like 30-40 protomechs, that'll do that to you.
Got a double glove, man.
It eats through it, man. You just got to get the right gloves. You need those like
That's true.
Oh, you need the yellow like thick boys.
They do sell them.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'll be done before it eats through the second layer. I don't need reactor shielding. The battle won't last that long. Famous last Great Death words.
Yep.
But no, so I did strip about 20 of those because I did the worst ones, and the other ones I'm just gonna paint and prime over. And then I put paint and primer on the other 20, the unstripped ones. So I was like, okay. I did get my Naga painted up, and I'm very excited to unleash some double Arrow 4 on some unsuspecting spheroids.
I was going to say, Nagas are clan. I didn't think they were into all that Arrow 4 stuff. The dishonorable combat. I see all the dishonorable spheroids as you like launch it from 4 map sheets away. I get it.
Is it dishonorable if you don't use the homing ones and you're just like direct firing at a target in line of sight?
That's the wrong way to do Arrow 4, but
like it's the wrong way, but it's if that's how the clanner has to justify whipping 2 Arrow 4 outs. Like, what is it, Copperhead? Or yeah, it's like you might as well just shoot an AC-20s.
Yeah, so just get 2 AC-20s. I don't know. I understand that Arrow 4 is cool and the clan should have some dedicated Arrow 4 launchers. It just, like, knowing when the Naga came out and knowing how the clan's mindset was supposed to be, it always just seemed odd. The Naga always just seemed like an odd mech choice to me.
Oh, it's very
longbow. Odd. There's that longbow with the 2 Arrow 4. And I'm all about that. It's not clan, it's Intersphere.
No, I know that, but I'm doing the mental comparison of, all right, what's the longbow with 2 Arrow 4 got on it versus
it's Intersphere. Yeah, no, it's people who like to use artillery and ambush people and shoot them from 4 map sheets away.
Like, what's bad about it though? The slowness versus the Naga.
Sure.
You're just like, yeah, sure, okay.
You have to get past my retinue of tag mechs before you can get to me.
It's got 2 medium pulses, an ER large laser, and 10 rounds per Arrow 4.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got 20 total Arrow 4s.
400 points of damage.
Yeah, that's 1,800 roughly BV. Then we'll go to the Naga. It's got 3 ER small lasers. Ooh, yeah. And it's also an assault, but it's an 86 kmh one, so that's a fast boy.
I could run slightly faster with my giant artillery mech.
Yeah. It also carries 6 tons of ammo. I don't know what a ton is of Arrow 4. I want to say 5.
I think it's 5.
Yeah, so
50%
15.
more.
Yeah, so it's got more. BV is 1840. So really, they're equivalent. Look at us. All right. You know what? Now, just because I'm here, I'm going to compare it to my other Raven Alliance artillery mech, the Bombardier.
Oh, yeah, the Bombardier.
The 05A? Yeah, that's got a single Arrow 4 with 4 tons of ammo and 3 rocket launcher 20s. That is a heavy at 65.
Yep, that's the catapult. The catapult has a single Arrow 4 launcher.
Look, at this point, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, these are, you got your all dual Arrow 4 systems are the same, and all single Arrow 4 systems are the same.
Because there's only so many things you can put on there and make it actually work.
Like, at that point, you spent 80% of your tonnage, weapon tonnage. But yeah, so I got that painted. What am I going to freehand on the giant back of my like stationary artillery? Like that's the big question. To whom it may concern. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll get back to you next episode when I freehand on it. But yeah, so that's pretty much all of my hobby progress. I did spend as my
message
normal
for you, sir.
Yeah, my what is it? Traditional Thanksgiving post hobby room cleanup. Like everything's put away, everything's clean. My like hobby station is put away. So like, yeah, once I get that back out, I'm starting from fresh. Everything's clean. But yeah, that's it for my hobby progress.
Cool.
You said
now that WWE is done, I can start working on more personal stuff.
What's coming to your paint bench first.
I want to finish at least a full lance of my Grey Death. I really liked how that Marauder turned out, and I've got the rest of the Grey Death pack, and then like the Rifleman and some other ones. I just like how it looks, and I would like to have a full lance or two that I can put out on the table that all look the same. So I want to finish that up. That's next.
That'll be real cool. All right, let's get to games played. And this is going to be a dual section because me and you got a game in against each other. We're going to talk about that, whether you like it or not.
We're going to talk about it. Are you going to be fine talking about it?
I'm fine talking about it. I'm fine. Perfectly fine. And then we're going to talk about the worldwide event. So this will be like a third of the segment just for like games played.
Nice.
But yeah. So how was me and your game, Denham? We played a 7,500 Ill Clan pickup game. Nothing really off or weird about that, right?
Well, nothing really weird about saying that we're going to play 7,500 pickup game. That is correct.
Yeah. And then, of course, I have to can I take weird, not experimental. It's not experimental. It's advanced.
It's listed as experimental in like Sarna. The only place it's not is in like Megabek or on the master unit list.
Yeah. And that's the word of God right there. If it says advanced, then it's legal.
I mean, depends on what you're going for. Like, is it Battle Mech Manual legal or Total Warfare legal or just any book you can find it in legal? It is definitely any book you could find it in legal.
Then everything's legal. It was in a book somewhere.
Somewhere.
This original printing of Battle Droids says I can do this. But no, so what did you run for your 7,500 game?
I had a rifleman with stealth armor and light AC5s with precision ammo. I had a ShadowHawk that goes 5.87. I had a Spider that goes 8.12.8. That had 2 medium pulses. And then I had a catapult that had 2 plasma rifles on its right arm and some ER medium lasers at its center torso. And that's it.
Okay, I took
all running 3-4 pilots.
Yeah, that was quite nasty because that low gunnery, low skill, it's just so
anything
strong.
That I've got that jumps needs to have. If it jumps and fires, it needs to have a 3 gunnery. In my opinion,
it's a correct feeling. It's nothing wrong with that. I took an Omen 2, the Snow Raven Assault Mech. This has Battle Mech Hard Gel System 3. And that was a wild learning experience because I've never used it. I've had it. I've thought about using it for a while. And this was its first time running out. I took a Dark Crow 1 original stock that has the Ultra AC5s and a heavy large laser. I took a Crimson Langer, I want to say the D variant, and that with the 3 medium pulse lasers, 3 Streak 4s, and like 5 or 6 ER smalls. It's a wild, it's a wild variant. Like who was making that? Blood Spirits. That's why they don't exist anymore. And then I took 5 Protomechs because I own them now. I might as well
own 60-something, 70-something Protomechs. Might as well.
And I took Gorgon 2s, and these are a 464 Protomech, and they have a Clan medium pulse laser on them. And I was like, you know what? I'll make it easy on myself. I'll just take a single type with a single gun.
I think that's generally the way to go, is my opinion.
But how'd the game go for you? Like, I'll let you start because I want to say your memory is probably a little bit better than mine.
Again, it's more games ago for me than it was for you, but
okay.
I know that I got my rifleman into a position that I liked. It's got stealth armor, so it likes to be in partial cover up on a hill, preferably with a tree in the way, but I didn't have a tree nearby for that. Catapult just goes in there to heat some people up while the Spider and the ShadowHawk go for rear shots and flanking maneuvers. As I recall, you tentatively moved your Protomechs up into one zone, but I don't even think they got a shot off for the first 3 turns.
No.
in my memory.
This was a slower list, like of mine. Like, it was definitely the quarterback rush kind of thing. Like, they're just plowing through the middle and willing to take damage.
Yeah, because that was the Omen. The Omen was very slow.
The Omen is a 3/5/3.
So he was moving up. I shot him a few times, but that hard gel like repaired all of the damage that I did to it. I remember that I overheated that sucker really badly one turn.
I think because you hit it with Infernos and the plasma rifles, it got its max plus 15 heat. And, like, of course, my movement was shot then, but with the jump jets,
right.
I was still able to move it 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
I
that's
couldn't
fine.
fire anything the next turn, and that was okay with me. Yeah, I put a bit of damage into there, and then I stopped shooting it because if I left it alone, then all of its armor regenerated on its torsos. So I'm like, oh, I'll just deal with that later, and I started focusing on the other mechs. I was able to take those down, but by that time, oh, my poor spider got kicked in the head. I got 2 crits on that kick in the head because I had one internal left, and both crits were on the sensors, so he couldn't fire any weapons at all. So he was just running around jumping and trying to kick people. I know that at some point I DFA'd you, and when I did that, I successfully DFA'd you, but I fell down and did damage to my head. So in my head cannon, I just imagined him like headbutting like from the air, just a power dive into your mech, squashing the pilot, but knocking your mech out of the woods. So moral victory for him, but death to that pilot.
That was wild because we learned a lot in that turn, which we're gonna talk about rules wise, which is why we have the main subject after this.
Yeah.
But no, that was wild because my Crimson Langer, my 50-tonner was like, you're the only thing that can catch the spider. You have 3 medium pulses and you can get point blank. And I think I did like the full math. Like, I knew I could get there and I just had to math it out how I could. Finally got there and it was like, okay, you're team M4, you're in woods. I had to run. I'm skill 4. And like with all the things, it was like, okay, it's a 10 up to kick. And I kicked.
Yeah.
And I did roll for head. And I was like, hell yeah. Head's coming off. And it's like, nope, I got 9 armor.
No, because you did, what was that? How heavy was it?
It was 50. So I did 10. So that's how I was able to get structure damage.
You got
I rolled
1
the crits.
point of internal.
I get 2. No. I don't roll anything that'll kill you, but I do roll the 2 sensors. So your jumping medium pulse laser boat legally cannot fire them. And that's wild.
Oh, I can fire. I just can't shoot. I can't hit anything at all.
You have no ability to hit even an immobile target in front of you. And then you're like, okay, that's fine. I can still melee you. I'm like,
yeah, I did. I know I kicked at least one person, then I DFA'd another.
I was happy that I stayed standing after that DFA. I would have been real mad if I had gone down.
I kind of really hoped you fell over from that. That would have been even better.
But it was the perfect like usage of, hey, his sniper is in a heavy woods, like in the middle, and a DFA will automatically move him no matter what.
Yeah, I think at the end you had a near pristine Omen and 5 Protomechs, which you know, I never really shot at, and I had a catapult that couldn't stand up, and my rifleman who after how long did we play? Was that like 3.5, 4 hours we'd been playing?
Yeah.
He decided, nope, I'm done, and he retreated off of the map.
I won, Denham. I won. I finally killed more of your guys. It was not a trade. I had the Dark Crow was dead. My Crimson Langer was at a single gyro, I think.
He was at a single gyro and he only had 1 arm, so he couldn't prop himself up. But if he stood up, he was going to fall back down.
Yeah.
You never moved him again.
No, for his safety, because I think he had 3 pilot hits at that point.
My catapult didn't have a gyro, so he wasn't standing up on his own. My ShadowHawk finally lost a leg, and once the ShadowHawk is not mobile, he's just done for.
Yeah.
And then I believe he got an ammo explosion.
I think what happened is I gotten a lucky, like, crit or two on jump jets, and that slowed him down enough for me to slowly pick him off.
Yep.
Yeah, it was really like I got lucky, and now his luck is running out.
He definitely got slower.
Yeah,
and that ShadowHawk needs speed to do anything. He's got to get within 2 for that VSP to get that plus or -3 in the 9 points of damage.
Yeah, it was nasty.
It was.
I will say there was a point where you said I was using my Protomechs wrong, and I want to go over that live where we talk about how I was using them and how you said I was using them wrong versus how I thought I was using them right. And I won the game, so I'm kind of like, okay, how am I using them wrong though?
Because when I told you what I would do with the Protomechs instead of what you're doing, and you said, "Oh, I know I'm done moving, but can I go ahead and move them anyway and move them to where you said that it would work?" And I said, "Sure." And then you started doing crits on the back of my ShadowHawk because you moved them behind there. I agree that once you started doing that they started actually pulling their weight. I agree with that.
See,
where you had them,
I disagree with this. I disagree that because I had to run 4 of them to get the rear shots, and it made it a much harder. Like even with the medium pulse laser and you in heavy woods with jumping, I was like, do I want? Is a rear shot more worth a +2 to any of my hits? Like already when I'm in like the 30% hit range. Because I think I only hit 2 of the 5 lasers, and 1 was an arm or leg. So
hitting 2 of the 5 is better than where you were standing. Because once you started moving your Protomechs forward and actually like trying to surround my mechs, then they started doing stuff, and I would have started considering them a threat. But otherwise, where they were just too easy to avoid, too easy to stay away from, and still do damage to your mechs.
Yeah, I was using them
doing damage to your mech. As long as we're talking about that, then Mr. I'll use hard gel 3.
Maybe I'll cut this whole section because Josh is a dirty cheater. No, that was reading how the Battle Mech Hard Gel System 3 works, interpreting it differently because it's not written clearly.
I thought it was written very clearly.
And then
my problem was that I asked you about it, and you're like, I know how this works, and I trusted you.
Then we talked about it, and then we thought we knew how it worked. Then we read it again a third time.
Well, I didn't read the Sarna article there while we were at the game because you said, yeah, this is how it works. I read it when I got home, going, that seems really weird that all of his armor just regenerated. That seems too much for that little amount of BV. Anyway, what we're talking about is that if you have a mech with hard gel 3 and you take damage, say you take 27 damage on the center torso, and it's got a hard gel 3. At the end of that turn, it regenerates armor, but you have to hit it again for it to regenerate armor again after that. It doesn't just keep regenerating and regenerating whether it gets hit or not until it's all back up to full. That's not how that works.
So that first turn, it would take the 27 damage. At the end of the turn, it would recover. For hard gel 3, it would recover 4. For hard gel 2, it would recover 2.
Right.
So you would go from 27 damage to 23 damage. Let's say the next turn it gets hit with a single LB pellet. So it takes 1 damage. It then recovers 4 at the end of the turn. So it goes from 23 to 24, and then at the end of the turn, it goes to 20.
Right, but if the next turn it takes 0 damage on the center torso, it regenerates 0 more armor. Like, it just doesn't. It's done. It's activated, it restores 4, and then it's done until it gets hit again. And that is not how we're playing it.
To be fair, that's a lot of rules that it condenses to 1 paragraph, and I feel like it needs an example of like how we just said.
Yeah, on my thing, to be fair, if you're going to bring advanced experimental tech, you should...
It's not experimental, it's just advanced.
If it didn't have the label advanced anywhere, I would agree with you. Or experimental, but it does. So, but that's fine. I didn't say we can't bring experimental tech. I'm totally fine with people bringing cool tech. You know, you should know how your toys work, though. I agree. Oh, with that.
Yeah. So yes, I cheated. I won. So Denham technically wins by getting more things right.
I didn't tell you didn't win. I just wouldn't call it a fair fight, but you won. I agree. I'm not saying that my mechs did not, my mechs that were able to did in fact retreat off of the map. Was it a balanced and even and fair fight? No, but it was a fight. They're not always even. My thing is that even with the odds stacked against me, I should have been able to pull a win out at some point, but I didn't. So
yeah, the thing about that omen is the legs and the arms are not hard gel protected, and technically, like if you just do more than 4 damage, like you can donut it, and that's I've taken it once and it literally got donutted, CT'd like in one turn.
Yeah, I didn't have anything that could donut an assault mech on one turn. It was good that you stayed in partial cover, so you only had to worry about arm hits. Like that was it.
Yeah, that was why I was like, I've only got like 5 leg armor left. This guy ain't moving again. I mean, he was also heated up to like 15. I want to say twice.
Yeah, I heated up. We could talk about that too. I heated up that mech twice. I heated up your Crimson Langer once.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little bit upset about that.
That he didn't roll his ammo explosion.
Well, no, because you were slow. You were slowed down to a 5.8 because you had a foot actuator hit and you had you were at 5 heat, so you were a little bit slow.
Yeah.
I hit you. I did 9 points of heat damage to you, but then I also critted your torso and gave you 2 engine hits. And you had fired like a bunch of weapons at this point, and you're looking at your sheet and with very much confidence, like so much confidence, you're like, I'm at 5 heat. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Like that mech only has 11 double heat sinks. That's only 22. And you just took 19 heat and you started with 5 and you fired those weapons. I have to check your math, Josh. And you're like, oh, I mean 19 heat.
It was a rough day. Like,
yeah. No,
but by the end of it, we got it done. But no, that was a great game. I was honestly the only takeaway that I'm taking from that entire game was I can land a kick on a spider on a 10-up and crit 2 things that aren't the cockpit.
Yep, and I can walk away from that briefly.
Walk away.
Yeah, we learned how Hard Gel 3 works, and that is that. That's a win for me. I won. I learned stuff I didn't know before.
Yeah.
So now, next time someone pulls out Hard Gel 3, I'm like, yeah, I know how that works.
Because, like I was saying, there is a plastic mech with Hard Gel 3, so it's not like it doesn't.
Which one is that?
The Kodiak.
Kodiak. Yeah, one of the Kodiak variants does have it. It was like the Kodiak, that Omen,
it's technically the Kodiak 2, but
well, then no, there's no mini for that.
Yeah. I lost that one.
The Atlas and the Atlas 2 are not the same mech.
Look, they are from a miniatures agnostic point of view.
Yeah.
And now we're arguing pedantics here. Anyways, let's move on to the worldwide event.
Let's do that. Cool.
Yeah. So, Denham, as the local Catalyst demo team agent, you were in charge / volunteered to run the worldwide event, which is the first we've had in a good while. So I'll let you kind of take the floor on describing what the worldwide event is, what this one was, and how it happened.
Yeah, because normally they happen once a year, and they're events. It's the same. So all CDT agents are given the exact same scenario, and they can all play them across the world, hence the name. And then all of the like how it went, we give the results of all of these things, and there's like a whole list of questions that they ask us. It gets pretty in depth, like especially if there's certain actual people in there. They're like, did these pilots were they part of the game? If so, were any of them killed? Because all that is important, because if in 80-something% of the games that pilot is killed, there might be a source book someday that says, on this planet at this battle, that's where this person was killed, so they can tell a writer, if you need to put that person in there, just remember they didn't exist, and also write a really cool death scene. So they can use that for things like that, throughout the history from now on. This particular one takes place on New Earth in the year 3152, and it's basically centered around the Capellans, specifically House Haritsu. They've got a bunch of clans on that planet, and they want them off of there. So they see a bunch of Jade Falcons, and they're like, we are going to go take them out and take out their support structures and make them regret ever coming to this planet. And hopefully they'll just leave. The clans had gotten wind of this, and so they're there to stop them. And that was the mission. We had 16 Inner Sphere mechs. So that was a company of House Ritsu and an auxiliary lance of 4 urban mechs, 4 different types. It was basically the urban mech lance pack. We got to use all of those. And they went up against a full star of Jade Falcon and then partial stars. We had a 3 Clan Wolf, 2 Snow Raven, and 1 lone Smoke Jaguar and a Cauldron Born. I did not play on either side because if they're going to use that for anything and I'm a CDT agent, it would not be fair for me to influence the outcome of that one way or the other. It was an extremely close game. I believe it ended up at the very end. Inner Sphere had 13 points. The clans had 18, which doesn't seem that close, except for if they had managed to take out that Cauldron Born, which was piloted by our friend Jason Hansa, who played it the way it's supposed to be played. And man, did that take a lot of damage. It was limping along. It had like 1 leg that still had armor and 1 torso, but everything else was internal. He had engine crits. He was missing his AC 20. He was just limping along, but he survived. And if he had gone down, he would have been worth like 7 or 8 points. So that would have made like the Inner Sphere have 21 or 22 points versus the clan's 18. So it was very, very, very close. A lot of cool action. The urban mechs pulled their weight. Not a single one of them didn't get a critical damage on at least 1 clan mech. Sometimes rolling 10s and 11s to get those hits. But even the MRM 31 got some good hits on that Timberwolf. So
it was wild. It was just wild. I was like, I had never seen more hits and crits and like wild stuff than in this game.
Yeah, we had 37 mechs on the field, and we had almost 30 players at Hangar 18 playing this. Like almost 30 people around these tables, and it was so I'd have to be like, okay, if you're not moving, please step away from the table. If you're going to sit, don't sit around the table with a map. Go sit over at one of the other tables until it's your turn. Please have in your head who you want to fight. I know that I specifically said a couple times, this is a battlefield. Things are going to be a bit chaotic. It is better for you to look around and make a snap judgment and have an awesome move rather than think about it too long and make the best move. We're not here trying to make the best moves. We're just here trying to keep the action going along. And a lot of people took that to heart, and it made for some really cool action scenes in this game.
Yeah, no, it was great.
So as a player, Josh, how did it look to you? Because for me, I thought it ran pretty smoothly. Even the initiative turns, people were, there wasn't a lot of hesitating. There was like 2 or 3 people who took what I thought was too much time, but most of those, they were either doing something where they weren't like watching the table closely enough so that they had to like get a better feel. But the people who were really paying attention, I didn't have any problems with snappy moves and stuff. I thought that the initiative rounds went faster than almost any game I've ever played there.
I'd say you could definitely tell that there were 2 types of people there. There were the like, oh, I just here to play BattleTech, and I'm like hanging out as well. And like those people, you almost had to like yell out like, hey, it's your turn to move. Like come back to the table. There is a reason
why I was allowed to bring a cattle prod to this event.
Yeah. I know one player was like, hey, I'm going to just stand still. And like they got lit up, and it's like, okay, I'm walking to the other side of the store now to play another game. It's like, what? No.
In that case, just hand your mech to somebody else,
Yeah.
Just say, here, take. And we had, this game went on for a long time. It started around 8:30. It finished at 1:59. So I did
in the
get
morning,
it done
AM.
Yeah. 1:59 a.m. It did go on for a long time. Not everybody could make it that long. So there were, but those people who knew that they weren't already had people who were going to take over their mechs, which I thought was fantastic. It was the people who didn't like how that last turn went and then just put down their sheet and walked away that I had a problem with.
Yeah, that was my issue. But I'd say the majority of people that were there to like actually play, like represent their faction or whatever, and like have a good fun time with their opponents. And overall, it was a doubly success. Like it was great. I piloted for the clans. I ran a Conjurer and a Dasher H.
I like that Dasher H. I mean, I like the Conjurer too, but I like that Dasher H a lot.
I liked it a lot. And we're not talking about the actual mission or the lore behind it, because it will be all released at the end of this month, and everyone will get a chance to play it. And I don't want to like influence any of that, really. We were asked nicely.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff I'm not saying about it. I basically can talk about anything that we've released on any of the pre, like the posters and stuff. Like all the information I gave you is on those posters. But yeah, the mission will be released to the public early next year, and then people can just play it and know all the background.
But yeah, I represented a Snow Raven Conjurer and a Jade Falcon Dasher H. And I will say I had a lot more fun playing the Dasher. And I never played or piloted a Dasher before, at least in Classic.
I would say, like, not in Classic, but it's also not a bad mech in Alpha Strike. But as Classic, I mean, I like it a lot, especially if I've got some elementals to ferry around.
And there were no elementals. Like, this was just, I am a cruise missile, and I go 2 speeds, fast and too fast.
I didn't have the battle value to put in elementals, but I could have put in up to 5.
I think it was fine without them. It'd be interesting to see how the game would play with them. But
yeah,
I'd say the highlights were.
Oh no, go ahead. Tell me the highlights. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say the highlights for me were definitely like me using my Dasher to like, I'm on the anti-light duty, really. Like if that's what a Dasher is without elementals, then that's all I can do. So I like one turn I saw a Stinger in Heavy Woods, and I was like, all right, if I need to roll my mask, all right, didn't die. Run is 19 hexes away, and I get right up to him, and I'm like, in his face, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna kill you now. And my friend was like, Josh, you need 9. So I was like, easy. And I think I rolled 4 of them. One of them hits his head, a heavy small laser to the head. The other one is like CT or something, and 2 of them go to his leg and just rip it off. They just takes the Stinger's leg off. It goes down. I kick him for a measly 4 points of damage. I'm like, stay down.
And he did too. Like, he's like, I live here now.
Yeah, he did. And then I left, and I was like, okay, I got bigger fish to fry. And then I'm playing with my Conjurer. I'm like jumping, because the Conjurer was a 3-2 pilot, which I thought was cool. I was like, okay, all right, we're gonna try to get into melee range now.
Yeah, get some kicks in.
Yeah, I think you saw my rolls with the Conjurer though.
Oh yeah,
trash, literally trash.
Yep, I know. I saw you. At least you needed a 4, like a 4 or a 5 with your large pulse, and you rolled a 3.
Yeah,
twice.
Yeah, that was real rough. And I was getting up there in the heat with it. I was like, I just need a hit, man. I did land next to an AC-20 Irvin mech. He decided, of course, to take the easier shot on one of my allies. Hits him, blows like a side torso off, and I'm like, no, you don't get this leg anymore. Kick, rip that off. And I was like, okay, that was really all the Conjurer did. I think it got hit once with like a large laser. I was like, okay, whatever. But then my Dasher, I was like, okay, next target. I see a Raven picking on one of my allied not direwolves, Warhawks.
Yeah, well, that Raven had tag, and you had a longbow with semi-guided LRMs off behind a hill. So, just that alone was dangerous. Now, the Raven also had an Iron Arc with all different types of pods, but those weren't. It never got into really close enough range to use those, because if it had hit your poor Dasher with a haywire pod, that would have would have messed some things up. But he never got in range.
Never got in range. So I run. It was once again like 19 hexes away. I get my mask. I move my 20, and I'm literally right behind him. And he's also in heavy woods. And I was like, "What's my to hit number?" Also a 9. And I was like, "Oh man! I mean, I knew I could hit it with a stinger. I'm pretty confident I can hit it on a Raven in the rear arc." I roll. This was the absolute highlight. I rolled all 9 lasers. I only hit with 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is attack. And we weren't using floating because that's too much time for this game.
Yep.
The other one hits the left torso. Okay. So based on that, I have 2 hits. I have now 3 opportunities to do a crit roll because the CT went internal and the LT went internal. I roll a 9 for my CT tack, a 9 for the internal CT damage, and then I roll a 12 for the left torso damage. Yep. So out of 2 hits, I have 5 crits.
Yep.
And I roll 2 engines, a gyro, an MML launcher, and a ECM.
Yeah.
It was like,
so it is put into force with. It's not destroyed. It is put into force withdraw, but it didn't make it one more turn after that.
It didn't. And you know why?
Yeah, I know why.
Because it failed its ammo explosion from all the heat, because it had overheated to shoot some stuff. And then, of course, 2 engine hits puts it above. It fails the ammo. It explodes.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kick it.
Yeah. I thought it had case, but went unconscious, but then fell and killed itself. I thought that's what happened. I could be wrong.
Oh, I thought it was ammo explosion.
No, I mean, it had case, but the ammo explosion does two.
Oh, but it killed more engine. That's what it
happened. Yeah. No, we still rolled. It did not stay conscious.
He dead, son.
Yeah.
And then, of course, on the last turn, I had to send the Dasher back to the Stinger to kill it because a legged Stinger is not in force withdrawal and wasn't worth any kill points. And I was like, fine. Yeah. And I rolled. And I rolled all 9 lasers again. I hit with all 9. That man just made me like, nope, I ain't dead yet. Until I got to like laser 8, and he was like, "Okay, now you've killed me."
Yeah, because you're like, how many crits is that? He's like, don't just keep rolling, because he was looking for that one center torso or right torso or right arm, whatever. Like there was so many numbers. There was like 67% of your rolls would be the one that kills him.
Yeah.
So he's just like, just tell me if there is this number on there, any of these, and yeah, I'm dead. I think the saddest part of the game. Oh, there's this Wraith. This Wraith was awesome. The Wraith is a 696 with a supercharger, so he could run up to 12. And he was one of the few that had a named pilot that had like special pilot abilities. Yeah, there are like 4 pilots out there who are worth more money to or more points to kill that had special pilot abilities. And he had melee, not melee master, the other one, melee specialist. And well, he had the one that gives you a -1 on physical attacks, and fist fire. So his punches were easier to hit. And if he did hit, then he had the option of firing that large X pulse on his arm in the location where he hit. And he was headed out there. He was headed straight for that Masakari. And so he jumped in some trees, and then he's like, okay, well, that guy didn't move. He's just right there. I'm going to run behind him, but I have to engage my supercharger. Rolls a double 1, rolls a 10, gets 2 engine crits, has to walk off the field because he's in force withdrawal now. Like turn 2. That was turn 2. It was so sad. He never got to throw a single punch, barely fired anything. He got off the board. So he didn't, at least he didn't give the clans any points, but it was just so sad to watch that guy just run out there and go,
when the enemy commander leading from the front, trips, breaks his, knee. It's like, I gotta go back to base, guys. This was fun. Good luck, everyone.
Yeah. My toe, I stubbed my toe.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he had like partial cardiac arrest.
Yeah. He had 2 engine hits, and all he had was like X pulse lasers, so he was hot. Like he was gonna run hot doing anything.
No, it was a great game. I'd say that and Jason Hansa just like tanking shots. Like he was almost holding the field solo against an entire like lance
was
or
amazing. Brian Powers from Hangar 18 piloted the Timberwolf. So Hansa and Brian were in the Cauldron-born and the Timberwolf together, and they were just advancing up that one side of the field, and Hansa would just tank everything, and Brian was getting some amazing shots at the beginning, but then nothing, and then there was the Stalker's out there, and Brian's like, haha, ERPPC hits the head. He's like, good night. And we're like, oh, it's got hardened armor. He's fine. That's like 8 points of armor gone.
It's 7.5. Like, 7.5.
Yeah, I said like.
It's like, no, Harden doesn't round. Harden doesn't round. We got to make that clear.
But it was just so sad to watch the fire of the kill leave his eyes. It didn't last long because that same turn, the Annihilator with the Clan Gauss rifles did plink the Timberwolf in the head like 30 seconds
with an
later.
actual 15 damage.
With an actual 15 damage, and he had taken 7 points to the head before already, so there wasn't much left. So he was put out of his misery quickly enough that the pain didn't linger too long. But it was too little, too late, and the clans did manage to pull the victory out with 18 versus 13.
Yeah, I'm going to say that Mad Cat sucked. Like that man needs some different dice or something. Like, come on.
At the beginning, he couldn't miss. I was rolling 12s to hit, and then it was just like your Hellhound, where he would need a 5 or a 7, and he would just roll one. He'd roll a handful of dice, and they're just all ones, all of them. I've never seen an ERPPC jam, but I swear it happened then.
But no, that was a great game. It was very fun to play. Like I said, I actually do want to redo this, like, as more of a pickup game, like not as big, but maybe like a 2-3 parter.
Yeah, well, that's another point. Is that when this was designed, like, I don't think it's designed for 30 people to come out and play all at once. I don't think a lot of stores have 30 people to come out and play a worldwide event,
especially till 2 a.m.
Yeah, if you're going to be running this for like 4 to 12 people, what we should probably do is once we get above like the 12-person interest, is we've got to set up a second table and have like 2 of them running at the same time, and I think it would go faster then because you don't have as many people. And more people are using more mechs at the same time. So you're thinking as like this lance is going to do this, and not each individual mech is by an individual person. Because like I said, we had 37 mechs out on the field. That was a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But so this was the first worldwide event we've had since COVID, and we're going to have one every year. So I'm only going to say that the experiences we learned from this one are going to make the next ones way better.
My only other thought is I was disappointed that this year's did not have a custom map, because that's my favorite thing to look at.
Yeah, most of them don't. Like the last one did. It was actually
cool I was
map.
Like the last one was like, oh, custom maps. I like those.
Yep, but the one previous to that had classic maps. They were just done in a different color, but it was they're all maps that we've seen before.
But that's enough for the worldwide event. Do we want to take a quick break before we get into our main subject, or just roll on through?
I'm good. Let's keep going.
Let's just go. All right. Today we're talking about all the rules you got wrong, or all the rules you learned wrong in kindergarten and you keep doing wrong. Like, look, your Sibco had, no Sibco left behind, and you never learned it right, and the teacher did not care. Like, that's really the only thing. Or the more likely thing, you didn't read your rule book and someone just told you how it worked and you just accepted it at face value.
Oh yeah, I think most of these are because instead of reading the rule book, you have the one guy who skimmed the rules, and when they skim the rules, they're just like, yeah, no, this is how it seemed. Like, this seems right to me, so we're just going to go with that.
Hardshell System 3. Just trust me. Just trust me, Denham.
Yeah. And if you learn that way, then the next time it comes up, you're like, yeah, I know exactly how that works because we've played it this way for years. Yeah. And if no one actually goes back and reads carefully the rules, then you'll never know. Not everybody is like me and has to has to read every single word of the rule book, because I've read through both the Battle Mech Manual and Total Warfare cover to cover. I have not completely read through Tactical Operations yet. I've read sections of it. I've not read the entire thing. Well, hard shell, by the way, is not in tactical operations. That's in strategic operations, sir. That's in like even the further level down than tactical operations. That's buried real deep.
And it's only a paragraph. But no, that is not the reason why we are having this episode of Common Rules Mistakes. It's just because they're what we encounter, like in regular pickup games. Like no one has ever played a perfect game of BattleTech, but
right,
these are more of the common things.
When you mentioned this and you asked me to come up with some, I didn't even think really hard. All I did was I thought about just the last couple weeks. Like these are all things that I have noticed in the last month of playing, that every single one of these has come up in one fashion or another. So these are not the flashiest ones or the most outrageous ones or
the coolest,
the crazy ones.
Wild,
These are just the most common ones that I've seen, because they happen constantly.
These are the ones that happened in the last month or two.
Yeah. So let's get started.
Yeah. All right.
Now there are some on here that I did not put that happened that I haven't seen in a while, but they're like, the standard rolling 12 is always a hit. That one's important because I believed that. I believed that for almost 20 years. It took me a long time to learn that is not how BattleTech works. You're like, oh, you need a 16? Well, I'll roll it because, I'll still hit 1 in 36 times. And you did sometimes. It was amazing. But a 12 is not an automatic hit. You can still miss on a 12. Just like you can still hit on a 2, you can still miss on a 12. That is not a changed rule. That has never been a rule. And I really thought that's how the game worked.
Would the game be cooler if you just always rolled no matter what?
No,
no, it really wouldn't. No.
Thinking back on how those went, like you roll too many dice in BattleTech already to have an auto hit chance at 20s or 30s. Yeah, no, there's no way.
I wouldn't want that either. I will at least add on to that. What happens when your to hit number is a 13? You've already declared a weapon fire.
Oh, yeah, that's easy because that's in the rulebook. So if you have declared fire, I'm going to fire this large laser and say that you're going to overheat too. So if you fire that large laser, you're like, I'm going to go up to 8 heat from firing this large laser, or I'm at 0 heat if I don't. But you've already declared it, and then you add up all your 2 hits, and it turns out to be a 13. You have the option of not firing that weapon. That is, you do not have to fire a weapon that is over 12 on your 2 hit. But if it is a 12 and you're like, oh man, that's really high, too bad. You declared it, you fired, you get the heat.
If it's impossible, there's no point. But
and
so
in my brain, it's like,
so you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah. So in my mind, it's like you're trying to line it up. You've got the crosshair. You just can't, that 13, you just can't get that crosshair close enough to just pull that trigger. It never crosses the target for that 1 in 36 chance.
All right, so that's a common one. One for that game that me and you played, where you were throwing a lot of heat on me, and I was avoiding the ammo explosions from heat, but I didn't ever realize, like, I have LB10 and I have SRM6 ammo. Like, which one I roll randomly, right? When I fail my ammo,
which one explodes.
Yeah.
Rolling randomly makes sense. But that's not how it works.
No, there is an actual legal order for ammo explosions.
Yeah, and this right here, this kind of reminds me of like the rule of carnage from Gaslands. It's they know that you're trying to get explosions, but sometimes this rule could work in your favor too, because it's not just the bin that does the most damage; it's the bin that does the most damage per shot. So if you have an AC5, you got a bin of AC5 that only has 1 round left. And then you've got a full untouched 200 rounds of machine gun ammo. One does 5 points. One does 400 points of damage. but because the AC5 has a higher per fire damage, because that's a 5, that's the one that cooks off. So in that particular case, you're going to do only 5 damage internal and not 400. However, again, when the 5 cooks off, you are damaging your internal structure. You have to roll for a possible crit again. You might set off the machine gun ammo anyway.
But it's a lot safer than like, oh, yeah, the one that would do the most damage to my mech is the one that auto explodes. No, it's whatever round has more powder in it, that's the one that explodes.
So like an SRM6 would count as 12 because there's 6 missiles in each shot that do 2 points of damage each. So that's value is 12. An AC5's value is 5. An AC20 is 20. An Ultra AC20 is still 20 because it's per shot, and you fire twice when it's in Ultra mode. What
if you have, as most mechs do, multiple bins of like AC5 ammo?
Hey, that's a good question.
Oh, I mean, it actually says.
Is it the person whose mech it is? They get to choose.
Yep. If per shot, like say, it's a per shot thing. Controlling player picks.
Okay, so yeah, you've got 3 bins of AC5. One only has 1 round in it, and the other 2 are full. You get to choose the one that's only got 1 round in it.
That's how I read it.
Yep. No, I'm reading it right now. That is exactly what it says. Yep.
And weapons that explode, so Gauss rifles and improved heavy large lasers and one-shot weapons, heat proof.
Right. Yeah, they do not explode because of heat. Also, plasma rifle ammo and plasma rifles are inert as well. I like that.
You got to power up the plasma. It's not always plasma. But yeah, that's heat. That's a one that comes up occasionally, but when it does, I feel like that one's done wrong a lot. And there's a flow chart for that.
Yeah, there is. One that popped up during our game at the Worldwide event. This was just Friday night. If you are doing multiple attacks, so you're attacking a primary and then you've got a secondary or trinary target. Say someone's coming up your rear and they're going to be, a slightly harder shot, but you got pulse weapons, so you want to make them the primary one, and then you're going to fire your other weapons at a mech that's standing still in front of you. So super easy. You want to make them the secondary target, right? That's what you want to do, but you can't.
No, the front arc takes priority. The front arc must be the primary target, and in your rear, if you're secondary, whether you have rear-facing lasers or rear-facing weapons or whatever, the primary is always going to be the one in your front arc.
Right. Now, if all your targets are in your right, left, and rear arcs, then you get to choose which one's primary. None of those take priority. But a front arc target always takes priority. The primary target has to be one in the front arc if there is one in the front arc. I had our other CDT agent point that out to me. They're like, hey, you're doing that wrong. I'm like, whoa, this is why you're here. So thank you, Scott.
All right, next we've got backward movement doesn't add to your TMM if you move forwards in the same movement as well.
Right. I see this one come up a lot because people ask me that. And if you think about it, it does make sense, but then you're moving dangerously close into getting your physics into your battle tech. So I can understand why it would be a confusion, but yes, if you change direction, your TMM starts from the last direction change that you make.
Not a left-right thing, but a like forward, backwards movement.
So if you've got that locust that walks for like 20, and he goes forward and backwards a lot, like forward movement, backward a lot, it's only the last movement, whether it's forward or backward, it's only the last change that starts counting the TMM.
Yeah. His speedometer hits 0 for like a split second. That's when you count. What's next? We got torso twist doesn't alter your receiving firehead arc.
Right. And I explained that, like, I do a lot of demo games, and this is a very common one for new players because, like, it makes sense that it would, but it doesn't.
The problem is we've all played MechWarrior Online.
Right. Right, exactly. And that's a very common tactic in MechWarrior Online is to move those torsos until you're about to fire, then you start moving the torsos again. Super important. But yeah, that doesn't work on the tabletop game.
Do they need to fix that to bring it in line with how that no one's defensively torso twisting?
No, because you can't get a rear shot unless you've outnumbered your opponent. You can never outmaneuver him one-on-one if that happens, like ever.
Yeah, I guess. Give me rear leg armor, then I'll take it.
Yeah, that's what a quad's for.
All right, you got the next one.
Okay, so this is one. This next one is also one that I had read wrong, and I remember reading it, and I remember being like, "Oh, that makes sense," and then I put it out of my head. And this one is, BattleTech is a hex-based game, so sometimes when you're doing line of sight, the line that you're firing goes right down the middle of a bunch of hexes. And when that happens, you have to decide, it has to be decided if it's on the right to that line or the left of that line, and those are the hexes that you're firing through. Now, when that happens, the person you're firing at gets to decide which side it's coming on. So if they have partial cover, it would make sense for them to choose that. Or if they don't want to be shot at all, and there's blocking cover, they would choose that side. Or if they think they can take the mech, they'll let him shoot him anyway. And my understanding was it doesn't matter whose turn it is. It's whoever is defending gets to choose. So once you fired at the one guy, he can say, "Oh, I'm taking that cover." But then if he's shooting you back, you would be able to also choose which side you want for the fire to come in on. And that's not the case. So this makes initiative even more important, because if you win initiative, then the other person has to declare fire first. And when they target your mech and you decide which line that goes on, it is then set for the rest of the turn. No matter what gets fired, that's always it's always that. Normally, that doesn't really matter, because both people would tend to do the same thing, because they're like, "Oh, there's cover there. Well, if you're going to declare the cover and I can't shoot at you, I'm going to declare the cover so that you can't shoot at me." And it just makes sense. So it doesn't really matter. But we actually ran into one situation in our game where that did matter, because I won initiative and you were standing right on the line. And one side of the line was partial cover and the other side was just completely open. And I waited for you to declare fire against my spider. And I thought my TMM was high enough, so I called the side that didn't have the partial cover, so that when I fired back at you, you could not call the partial cover. So that is one of the very few times where that really matters, where both people would have picked a different hex. It's the only time I've ever actually seen that happen, ever.
I don't want to say I wanted to leave the store right then, but I also knew I was like, I've never played it this way, so I'm learning a rule, and I'm just going to accept it. But that's
it was a learning. Yeah,
it was a learning experience in the worst way possible.
Yeah. Hey, I'm glad that it was against you and not against like a brand new player who would have been like, "Well, this game sucks," and they just never play again. Because I know you're coming back. You can't help it.
I can't help it. I'm in for life, whether I like it or not. But no, it won't come up often. But when one person really doesn't want the other person to get the partial.
Now, rereading that rule, because I'm like, that's crazy that this is how that works. I also found out something else that I didn't quite realize. Say you're firing smoke at a hex, or you're firing at a building, and it's right on the line, and one is blocking cover and one isn't. But it's a building, it can't decide. So I always thought, well, the person firing gets to choose then, but they don't. You actually have to flip a coin and decide randomly if it's left or right. So the building decides randomly if you can shoot at it or not.
The building has a choice.
Yeah, which blew my mind a little bit. Like that just, I don't know if I would have written the rules that way, but that's in the rules. So that's what I go by now.
Would you rather it be the building takes the most defensive one, or would you prefer that?
Well,
in the previous case scenario where we were like defender chooses, it's like, oh no, every time that happens, you flip a coin.
Oh man, no. That would just slow down the game more. Yeah, no. Let's just keep it how it is.
Flip a coin for I'm guessing the worst case is like you could have multiple splits, so it'd be a partial, like a heavy woods on top of that, and then yeah. So like it could be a +3. I want to say max difference.
No, because you could also have. Is there anything that doesn't? No, it has to be plus. Well, it could. The max really is you can't see me, but yeah.
Yeah. The max
it could be a light woods as well, light woods and a heavy woods and partial cover. But you're right. So like 2 lights in partial cover or a heavy in partial cover. So a max is a +3 versus a +0.
Occasionally, I get the numbers right, Denham.
Yeah, but I got to check.
And that's BattleTech is a team effort. You and your opponent. All right, but no, that is a new one to me, and I will be trying hard to keep that playing as rules true as possible.
Right.
What else we got?
Because when it comes up, you won't forget. You'll be like, oh yeah, I remember this. The next one happens a lot, like a whole lot. Like every single time somebody goes prone for any reason and they know if they stand up, they're going to get shot or they're missing a leg or something. And I'm always asked constantly, well, a mech can always move forward one hex, right? Because there is a minimum movement rule. As long as you've got 1 movement point, and the hex in front of you, directly in front of you, is legal, you're allowed to move into it. It's the minimum movement rule. It's a real thing. But prone mech cannot crawl. Like they've never been able to. And people seem to think that, oh no, I can always move 1 hex forward. So if I'm prone, I can crawl forward, and you cannot. You
can't just like roll. Like says like
can't see. That's what
class,
I'm gonna roll. No, you can't. You can't roll. You can't crawl. You might not be immobile, but you can't move forward. So yeah, that's one. We get that a lot.
I've never heard that, but I can see so many instances where someone's like, no, there's better cover over on that side of the level 1 hill.
Yeah.
All right, we've got. Oh no, I'm gonna let you say this one because the number of times I have to explain this and like literally,
I know,
do the counting on fingers
all the time. And I had this come up at the WWE. I had this come up the Tuesday before, and I had it come up 2 Tuesdays before that. So
every day I wake up.
Yeah. Minimum range states at the range stated, not the next closer one. For example, an Inner-Sphere PPC has a minimum range of 3. That means at 3 hexes, the PPC is a +1 to hit. Not at 2 hexes. At 3. At 2 hexes, it's a +2. At 1 hex, it's a +3. But it starts at the number stated, not, oh, that's the last safe range, so that's why it's minimum. Minimum is that number and closer. Every time.
Just don't shoot in minimum range, people. Like,
yeah. Well, I get that a lot with LRMs because like 7 is the only number that's both in short range and not in minimum range. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's 6 or 7. You want to be in 6 or 7? I'm like, no, you want to be in 7. You want to be in 7.
There's a single hex where you get short range, but not minimum.
Unless you're clan, and then you're fine. I mean, sure, you can hot load your LRMs. I think that should be a thing more.
Yeah, let me hit it and explode it. That's not a problem either. This is one I know, and I think this is, and reading up on this specific one, it is a lot of people using old rules. Like this
I went back and checked. I haven't been able to find any old rules that say that.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it's just the first time it came up, I think people just automatically assumed, and it just diffused enough from there that it's never been fully
I agree.
corrected.
Yeah.
And this is, hatchets do not roll on the punch table by default.
Right? Hatchets, clubs, swords, vibro blades, any of that. It's all full body by default. There are exceptions. That's the claws and punching. Those are the ones that go on the punch table. But everything else is on the full body table unless you give it a modifier. But by default, it's on the full body table.
Rightfully so, because I don't want to be punched and hatcheted in my face.
Oh, well, that's the thing, is that back when we thought that was the case, people would be pulling trees up all over the place to get a kick on the punch table by using a club, like kick damage, or like the first time the Hatchetman came out, everyone wanted to play it because, 1 in 6 chance of hitting the head. People loved it. And then somebody read the rules and they're like, that rolls on the full body table. And suddenly no one wanted to play it anymore. Like, it just took all the fun out. It was one of those things that if it was a rule of carnage, it would definitely always be on the punch table. But no, you've got to have a really low piloting skill to want to do that +4 to roll only on one on the punch or the kick. But who wants to do that?
Immobile targets, man. That's the only time you're doing it.
So kick them. Yeah, just kick them. You're allowed.
1 in 6 chance, Denham. 1 in 6 chance.
Oh no, for the headshot. Yeah, no, I was saying, like, I don't know why people would pay the extra +4 to try and hit the legs with their sword instead of just kicking them. But yeah, no, there are times when I have done the +4 because it's cumulative with whatever weapon. So a sword is a -2 to hit, and then the +4 for the punch table makes it just a +2 on the sword, not a +4. So whatever the modifier is, but then claws are a +1, but they're already on the punch, so never mind about that. But yeah, so a sword is only a +2 to roll on the punch table because it's by default a -2.
I was going to say, I'm going to add on to this. That target is immobile. I get my free aimed shots, on the mech.
Aim shots aren't for melee though.
I just needed someone to say it out loud on air. And I was like, yeah. The immobile target, you can aim shot with your weapons. You cannot aim your fist, which is wild. I feel like I would reverse that in my brain. Like,
right.
Like, no, your weapons, they got their own targeting. You're slowly taking the fist and doing minute corrections as it comes into contact. Nope.
All right, Josh, hold on. First of all, I'm actually going to look that up.
Okay.
I'm going to look that up right now. All right, yeah. Page 30 of the Battle Mech Manual, it specifically says this rule cannot be used with physical attacks. So no aim shot. You get the -4 if it's immobile, but you can't call your target.
Can't call your fist? That's so dumb.
Nope. I know. There might be another rule in like TAC Ops or the strategic operations, but I'm not digging that deep for these. This is normal games.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. All right. What's the next one, Denham?
This one I get so often. It makes people so mad.
Oh, it literally drives me insane. I'm like, if I get one rules change, it involves this.
So you're in a mech. Dustin shoots you from 25 hexes away with an AC2, rolls a double 1, hits your center torso, rolls a 10, and hits 2 gyros. Oh no, my gyro is gone. You fall down. You cannot stand up. You just can't. Your mech is not immobile. Just bringing your mech down to a 0 movement does not make it immobile. It is not crippled. Like if you're playing with forced withdrawal or like crippling a mech gets you these points, it is not crippled. It is not immobile. It is a turret. It can prop itself up and fire, and it can like move 1 hex face each turn, but that's it.
It can't crawl. It can't crawl. It's in that same hex.
A lot of people think that it's immobile or at least, considered crippled. It is not.
So mad. Mad.
Now, 1 engine and 1 gyro, that's forced withdrawal. You got to get out of there. And maybe they did that because, you can't go anywhere anyway. So, forced withdrawal doesn't matter. But for whatever reason, no, a gyro is inconvenient, and you certainly, like, it's catastrophically inconvenient. but your mech is still in the action, as the kids say.
You know, I didn't want this to be a wish list. The only bullet point I need added there is if a mech starts a turn in the same hex that it was in the last turn that is in forced withdrawal, it's counted as destroyed. Like I'll take that. So that covers if it can't move and it's in forced withdrawal for like doesn't even have to have engine hit, just has to have like damage in multiple locations. Then it's
still
destroyed.
Wouldn't affect this, but I understand.
Oh no, because it couldn't leave that hex.
Yeah.
Like that's all I want. Like no, it can't crawl out of the hex. And it's not forced withdrawal. We can make forced withdrawal. Like, no, you got to be able to leave a hex. Minimum one hex movement. All right.
For how many turns? Because you could just be hot. Does that make you...
Oh, you're right. I don't like the way you break my perfect logic.
the way I know rules and stuff.
I'm shut down and immobile. Oh, no.
How about the next one? Are you familiar with the next one? Because that has also come up recently.
I am
especially
familiar.
More so with like 3025 tech mechs, less so with modern day mechs.
And that's why I'm more aware of it, because the mongoose has nothing. The intro tech mongoose has nothing in its right or left torsos.
Right.
Because that's where the big electric probe and other stuff would be if it had it. But the intro tech one does not. It is empty and everything isn't arms or CT.
Right. So if I were to hit you in the right torso on a mongoose and it does damage to your internal structure or has attack, but there's nothing in there, what do we do? We say, oh, there's nothing in there, so there's nothing to hit, so you don't even have to roll, right?
God, I wish.
No. Yeah.
Blake, that'd make me so happy, man. No, the crit just keeps on going.
Yep, you still roll for the crit, and if there are any crits, they transfer to the next location per the damage transfer chart.
It's literally almost safer to have something. One thing, like like a small laser, heat sink, whatever. But nothing is worse, because CT is nasty. That's where all the good juicy bits are. Because
if you have one thing in there, and so say you've got say you've got like a small laser in there, so there is something in there, but you roll and you get a 12, so you have 3 crits. You're going to crit the small laser because it's the only thing in there, but the other 2 crits are in fact wasted. They're gone. But the next time you take crits there, if there's nothing critable in that location at the beginning of the turn that it gets hit, then they transfer. But that small laser protects all the rest of the crits for all the rest of that turn. So no matter what you get shot, like how many times you roll crits. So it's just immunity for 1 turn.
Everyone needs a single armored component in their, left or right torso, just as a buffer.
Just something. Pull those heat sinks out of the engines and just shove them in there just to protect your engine and gyro.
It's load-bearing heat sink at that point.
Hey, in battle droids, there were no engine heat sinks. You had to have them all in your mech.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm asleep on that one. I'm going to make no comment and no judgment until then. This is one that comes up, I'd say, a lot more in like campaign games, just because we're throwing probably a lot more shots. But that's also that if you get a crit, partial cover will not stop a crit.
Right. Especially this is for especially for floating crits, where, I rolled my double 1. Where did I actually hit you? Oh, my right leg. Well, I'm in partial cover, so you wasted that. No, that does not work. You got to keep rolling until you can hit a section that you can actually hit, and then you roll the possible crit on that location.
Yeah. The funny part is this came up for proto-mechs, which have a 3 and 11 on a hit location. It's viable. It's just a near miss. And I think we spent a couple minutes looking that up, and we were like, it doesn't specify for proto-mechs.
Right. But I think that the intent is clear enough that we know that because they don't like to waste crits, as obvious by all these other rules. So a proto-mech like a 3 or an 11, no, you just keep re-rolling because you can't crit something and then miss that thing.
Yeah. That is close as we get to a 12 automatically hits. A 12 hit location is your head, but a 2 hit location is an automatic crit.
Right. Well, automatic crit chance, but yeah. And you have to have that chance. That's right. We're not going to take that chance away from you.
Yeah.
Because that really only comes up if you're using the floating crit optional rule, because normally crits hit the torso that you're in that location for. So it's either the center torso or the left or right torso. Those are the only places, according to non-optional rules, that you can even get a through armor crit. So in those cases, it wouldn't matter. They're never in partial cover. It's the center mass of a proto-mech. So it's only when you put in the floating crit optional rule.
Cool. We just take away floating crits on proto-mechs then. That's
yeah. I'm fine with that.
No, because that's a hit location. That's the problem. God. Ugh. Okay.
The next one I see a lot, like a whole lot. Also saw that at the WWE and the Tuesday before.
What?
Mechs that jump into woods do not need to make a PSR. The only time you need to make a PSR is if you're jumping into water or you're jumping with a damaged actuator hip gyro type thing.
I love why it's the jump. Just describe to me jumping into water rules wise.
Because you can't jump into water. You jump over water and then you basically fall into it. And anytime you enter a water hex, you have to make a PSR. So when you stop your jump jets and you plunge into that water, you've got to make a PSR when you enter the water.
I love it, but wild, man. It's wild.
Yeah.
Like I just want to take a dip. Like there's no cannonballs in BattleTech.
Yeah, there's no the only way you can go into water and not have to make a PSR is if your piloting skill is so high that your success roll is a 2 or lower. Like that's it. Otherwise you have to roll. You just have to.
But you still can't run into it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can never run into water. That's never been a thing. It's definitely not one now. You can only walk in water. You can run out of water, even if you have to turn hex facing. You can run turning hex facing because you're not entering a water hex. You're just in a water hex. So you can run around in a circle and then run up onto land. So coming out of water, yeah, have a blast.
All right. What's our last one?
The last one, yeah, definitely comes up because of campaigns mostly. But a lot of people in pickup games who have streaks and are going against mechs that have ECM, like Guardian ECM. The Guardian ECM people like to say, "Oh, your streaks don't work. You still have to roll. They either fire or they don't. But if they hit, you have to roll on the cluster table. You don't get them all to hit, and that's not the case. The only thing that blocks streaks is Angel ECM, not Guardian ECM. You got to get that upgrade.
You got to get the good name brand ECM.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, Guardian is the name brand, and then they just, new coked for Angel. What is the primitive Raven equipped with? Just electronic warfare?
Right, electronic warfare equipment, and its its tonnage is just wrong. But yeah, electronic equipment or electronic warfare equipment. So it was like EW.
Yeah,
was how it was listed.
But no, those are
they came up with
yeah. So those are our most common rules mistakes that we see. Like not even on in an annual basis, like a bi-monthly basis.
Routinely, this is what comes up time after time after time. There are other ones out there that you almost never see, but you're like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But for those, just go pick up the Battle Mech Manual and read the common misconceptions. Like that has a lot of stuff that people get wrong, but not as consistently as these. Now, some of these are in there, some of them are not. But these are the ones that I see popping up at my game store the most often.
Too often. We're working on it.
But Hey, I'm here to make you a better mech warrior.
If I'm not learning something every time I play, then I'm playing wrong.
That's right. I agree with that.
It may be my fault that I'm taking, experimental tech and giving a quick 10-second read through. Like, oh, that's how that works. But that's on me. These rules, they're on you.
Yeah. These everyone should know. They're all in the rule book, whichever one you prefer, Battle Mech Manual or Total Warfare. They are all in there. So RTFM. These aren't these. Yeah. Like these are the standard, what's considered like tournament legal type stuff. So we're not counting TAC ops, although the float and crit one kind of touched on that. And we're certainly not counting strategic operations. So this is the basics. If you have any questions or you guys have ones that you encounter a lot, let us know.
Yeah, I want to actually, that's my call to action for today. Send us an email or I want to hear from you guys. What is the biggest rules mistake that you guys see at your tables? And you can send that in, and maybe we'll talk about it on the next episode. And you can send those to the mechbaypodcast@gmail.com. But I think that's it for our rules questions. Anything else, Denham?
No, I've covered everything. We've been talking a while now.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to roll out and move on to another subject for next time.
Fantastic. All right, well, it's been real. You guys can contact us at the mechbaypodcast@gmail.com. Please check us out on Facebook and the Discord, and a special thank you, as always, to all of our Patreons. And remember, folks, the person who owns the books and the minis has the final say on all the rules. So don't make me angry and take all my stuff and go home, because I'll do it.